Body language bollocks. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. There are numerous body language experts who have something meaningful to explain about people's behaviours, their body language, and we can learn many fascinating things from their analysis. But often, when they're dealing with narcissists, they get it repeatedly wrong. That is because they don't understand narcissism, and they don't understand the way that it applies to the way that a person conducts themselves and the way that their conduct is shown. It's useful to examine an instance of this as per the Scottish Daily Express. This leads with a headline of "The changes shown by Harry's wife following Prince Harry engagement, as expert claims she is dead in the eyes." Harry's wife showed significant body language changes after getting engaged to Prince Harry. Well, in actual fact, she didn't. Her body language remained the same, both before and after. An expert has said she even looked dead in the eyes in photos, compared to a full-of-life young woman that she was before she met the Duke. That is simply wrong. As a narcissist, she will have dead eyes. Not all narcissists necessarily exhibit this to the same degree. But if you're seeing those dead eyes, it isn't the case that they have suddenly come about as a consequence of her involvement with Prince Harry. They've always been there. It's just that this individual has not picked up on them. The reason for the existence of the dead eyes is because of the absence of emotional empathy. The mouth can move, the fixed rictus grin can appear, a frown can be occasioned, surprise, but the eyes themselves, it is very, very difficult for the narcissist to create any form of replication of emotion within those eyes, where it relies upon emotional empathy. Hatred, envy, antipathy, those can be seen in the eyes, but the emotions that are missing with the narcissist translate as those dead eyes. But as this expert attempts to explain, suggests that this happens as a consequence of the engagement. It doesn't. They've always been that way. Appearing on the morning show in Australia, Dr. Louise Markle, an expert in body language, said there were marked changes in the Duchess's appearance that are visible in the couple's Netflix documentary. During the appearance, Dr. Markle claimed that Harry's wife had great prospects growing up, but she began exhibiting a weird gesture which showed changes to her character. Take it from me, there have been no changes to her character. The same character has always been there as a consequence of her narcissism. What it may be is that certain aspects of that narcissism have become more prevalent as a consequence of, 1, circumstances in which she's found herself, and 2, increased scrutiny. The body language expert claimed, in the second episode, when it's all about her as a child, that was delightful. She was a gorgeous young woman with great prospects, and she wrote beautifully. She did great things, and then we see her in the engagement photo. It changes. She continued, her smile becomes teeth. Her eyes are dead. Her arms lock into her body. And she began doing this weird gesture where she pushes her hair back, which is useless. What a useless gesture. Who does that? She changed. Now, she hasn't changed. Harry's wife's narcissism formed somewhere between the ages of 0 and 9. As a consequence of the genetic predisposition that she inherited from either her mother or father or both, allied with a lack of control environment that she found herself in. Her narcissism formed as a coping mechanism, and it will have displayed itself during her childhood, during her teens, and then even more so as an adult, as she has increased interaction with people. So it isn't the case that she's changed at all. And the comments that this so-called body language expert made about how she looked in the second episode is complete nonsense and demonstrates how this person doesn't understand narcissism. Dr. Marla also claimed that Harry's wife and Harry are different people when they're not together. She said that side by side she sees a man completely besotted by her, madly in love. Well, it is the case that, affected by his emotional thinking, he remains in love with her. While Harry's wife plays that up with a lot of breathiness. Well, she doesn't love Harry. She believes that she does, but as a narcissist and having no emotional empathy, she is incapable of love. And what she does is, through her narcissism, she generates what her narcissism believes is love. This is why you get all of the over-the-top behaviours with a narcissist, because it's the narcissistic approximation of love. This staring at him, this breathy tone, the excessive words that are used by way of flattery. But when presenters asked the body language expert what she noticed when the couple were apart, she said, "Harry is somebody who obviously has low self-esteem. He talks constantly about being ginger. I'm a ginger," the whole time, as though that's a problem. And then he talks about his heartbreak, and you hear to this day that his voice breaks. Now, Harry, of course, has certain vulnerabilities, which is what his wife's narcissism capitalized upon. The body language expert continued by explaining that the prince was affected dramatically by his mother's death. Absolutely. Moving on to how Harry's wife differs while the couple were apart, she said, "She constantly talks about freedom. I must be free, free, free. Or, look, there's my favourite song about freedom." The body language expert concluded she accentuates that freedom is her core value, and he is a very heartbroken, sad man. Well, I'm not entirely sure that this accentuation of freedom is correct, but if it is, it would, of course, relate to the subconscious need for control. Namely, I'm free to do what I want to nullify potential threats to my control. So that observation might have some weight. The couple's Netflix documentary included a number of candid photos and videos giving an insight into their lives, but Dr. Markle claimed that they were very staged. That bit is correct. They are not candid photos, they are staged photos. Everything they do is staged, she said. Well, for the most part, that is correct, and this is all about the necessity of control, so that Harry's wife can seize the narrative, making it easier for her to control people, draw fuel, etc. However, once again, this talk about her changes and the other observations that have been made demonstrate how repeatedly body language experts get it wrong when it comes to narcissists, because they don't understand narcissism, and you need to do so to be able to interpret the way that a person behaves and what they say through the prism of their narcissism. That's why my work gives you an unrivaled understanding as to the way that people such as Harry's wife behaves, because I am able to explain to you the intricacies of her narcissism in such detail, so that you and many others get to understand what's really driving her and why she behaves as she does. I'm H.D. Tudor. Thank you for listening.